What's good, Panther Nation? It's your boy Myron McRae, a.k.a. Tornado McRae, across the skies of the internet, here with another episode of Panthers Pride TV, your one-stop shop for all your Panther notifications and your Panther obligations. And happy Wednesday to all of you guys, gals, and everybody in between. Hope y'all are having a fantastic day, fantastic morning, fantastic lunch. What you got for lunch? Honestly, like, what you got for lunch? Because I'm eating a peanut butter and jelly. Like, that's what I'm eating. That's what I'm eating, man. But you know what? You're never too grown for a peanut butter and jelly. I don't care what anybody says. You're never too grown for a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. That's all I'm saying. Like, truth be told, that's how I feel. And I know some people are going to probably look at me like,
oh, brother, this guy stinks!
and if you feel that way, you're just rude. You're just rude. But guys, we're going to get into today's docket, go over some of the things that happened in yesterday's practice and just looking forward into what's going forward. That's kind of crazy. But guys, yesterday, here's some of the notes that came up from yesterday. First things first, and I want y'all to see my face about this. Like, obviously, we've all heard about the shooting that happened in New York and happened like at the NFL building. Please, 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 prayers and respects to those families who lost a loved one in that tragic incident. I'm sad that this is becoming a more common thing, and it's honestly becoming more common over the span of even my lifetime. I was born in 93, and I feel like the number of mass shootings is crazy. In my life, I felt like it would have constantly reduced as opposed to before I was here, and it just doesn't seem like that's happening. So please, y'all, just out of respect, keep those families in your prayers, because none of them expected to lose a loved one that night. And moving forward, as we get on to football, speaking on the Panthers, so yesterday you had wide receiver Dan Center. He was released, and rookie Jasim Reed was actually signed kind of as his replacement to fill the role. Derek Brown was limited in practice due to oblique soreness. And then Chandler Zavala has now been listed week to week with a knee injury. And yesterday for practice, J.C. Horn, Mike Jack, and Adam Thielen were given kind of like a Veterans Day off. And when you think about it, yesterday was a light day at practice. It was a light day. They were down to helmets. They were down to shell, I want to say, just helmets and shorts. And I want to say shoulder pads. If not that, just helmets. So Monday was full pads. Yesterday was like, today we're going back to full pads. So expect JC, Mike Jack, and all of them to be padded up full gear, probably just to give them rest and help them last longer into the season. I'm okay with that. As far as Chisena, I remember calling that I felt he would get cut and probably put onto the practice squad. I was a little bit surprised that he was released, like just fully released outright. I thought he'd be put at least on practice squad, and then he was re-signed by Jasim Reed. That's the one that really actually got me. Not so much his releasing, but that he was replaced by somebody else, because in my mind, it doesn't make sense to replace him if that individual isn't going to be one of the final 7 receivers, unless they just see him as a really valuable depth practice player who could step up in times of needed. If that's the case, hey, Carolina, do what you do. As far as Derek Brown, like being limited due to oblique soreness, hey, when it comes to DB, take all the time you need. Now, I do need him to be out there running full ones at some point to get back in rhythm. However, I appreciate the cautious approach, trying not to rush him back. I greatly appreciate the cautious approach, trying not to rush him back, and I'm cool with that. And Zavala, I hope, comes back sooner than later. Week by week actually scares me. If I'm being 100% honest, week by week actually scares me. Because that just sounds extended. It sounds like a longer time. It sounds like it's going to take a bit for him to get back. And, I really don't want that. Like, Zavala helps add depth to our O-line. And to me, O-line is one of those positions where you need depth, and not having O-line depth is probably the most detrimental thing that you can have as a football team. So in my ideal world, that's the positions I would never see get hurt. I would never see any of my old linemen get hurt if it was up to me. If a genie came down, gave me one wish, and said it will come true, they ain't gonna fool me because genies be tricky like that. I would, as a football coach, I'd be like, I would wish my offensive line never was injured, because as long as I got my offensive line, and they're great, I can make my offense work. I hate it when we lose offensive linemen and then it's easily exposable to a defense, and the defense is like, oh yeah, just pick on this guy. Just pick on this guy. He can't block. And when he can't block, those sacks add up, those tackles for losses add up, those disruptions add up, and it just becomes horrible. So that's all I got on this segment. Next, guys. Oh, hold up. There we go. So next, Trevon Wallace has actually been getting some advice from two legends. Don't know if y'all heard, but I saw this article on Panthers.com, and Trevon Wallace was talking about that Trevon Wallace is essentially getting advice from like the fountain of gold, like the oracles, the epitome in Panthers lore and linebackers. And so what I mean by that is Trevon Wallace came out and admitted to the press that, hey, one, he still texts Shaq Thompson every day. And when he first got here, Shaq Thompson told him, yo, you're going to be the next guy up. You're going to be the next Panthers star linebacker. It's going to be you. You're going to have to hold that role and be one of those ones. And with the releasing of Jesse Jewell and not signing anybody else, Trevon Wallace has been promoted and stepped up into that role. And when it happened, when it actually happened and the news came out, Shaq Thompson texted him and said, hey, remember what we talked about. It's your time now. And I find that very cool that he was essentially mentored by Shaq Thompson. And Shaq Thompson, even before he left, like, he's off in Buffalo. We wish him the best. Even though he's over there, Shaq's still pouring into him and wants him to be great and wants him to just be a phenomenal player. And I respect that about Shaq Thompson. I love that about Shaq. If we can bring him back on like just a veteran retirement thing, I'd love to see that when the time comes. Kind of like how we did with Julius Peppers. But Thompson ain't the only one that he's getting mentorship from. Wallace has also built a mentorship relationship with the one and only Luke Kuechly. So we all know, hey, Luke Kuechly is one of the best guys I'd want to have as a mentor if I'm a young linebacker in this game trying to develop and grow. And having a relationship with those two, bro, you can only imagine the vast wealth of knowledge that he's gaining. The tips, the tricks, how to watch film, what to see in tendencies, exactly how to communicate to your team and to your defense what needs to be done. And speaking of communication, Trevon Wallace spoke on what has been the most important thing, or the most thing that both Wallace and Kuechly have hammered on, and that's for him to be more vocal. And here's what he had to say. He said, that's one thing they tell me, like, hey, just go out there. The main thing is you're the quarterback of the defense. So you go out there and be vocal and be loud. And I mean, it makes sense. It makes 100% sense. As long as he's vocal, as long as he's loud, as long as he communicates. Because if you watch Shaq on highlights, if you watch Luke on highlights, you watch any of John Beeson even, like, go back and watch linebackers and how they communicate, whether in Carolina Panther history or any history of great linebackers. They are constantly communicating to the D-line and to the secondary what we need, what we want, how we want it, what coverage we want to show versus what coverage we're in. How do we want to execute? Are we blitzing the A gap, the B gap? Are we stunting at the line? Are we doing all of these things to confuse the defense? And then are we executing at the point of attack? That's what makes great linebackers great. They know how to communicate that and know how to read that. And also, your intelligence and your IQ sees what the offense is in. Remember, we all love to bring up the fact that Luke Kuechly, according to most of the NFL, knows 90% of your playbook. 90% of the time, he knows what play you're running before you even execute it. We all love to bring that up. So when you're getting that, I know he's not going to be exactly Luke. I know he's not going to be exactly Shaq. But he can be Trevon Wallace. And that just might be better. That just might be better. I'm just saying, bro. It has the possibility, but I love this. I'm glad he brought it up and admitted about his mentorship, and I hope it just continues to help him flourish into a great player going forward. And thirdly, guys, questions been posed as to why not to overlook Carolina in 2025. Now, I do know, we all know, not to overlook Carolina going into this season. But crazy enough, Bleacher Report. I know. We don't like Bleacher Report because they tend to be just bleh. But put out an article, and I think I actually like where this went. So, Bleacher Report's Alex K. I haven't read an Alex K article. I will admit that. So this is the first time I had read stuff from Alex K. But Alex K, he or she, I don't know which one it is, revealed why every NFL team shouldn't be overlooked in 2025. So it's kind of everybody has a reason as to why they shouldn't be overlooked. And obviously the Carolina Panthers were on that list. And their reason was opportunity for rapid development.
Message.
I can't be. And here's what they had to say, man. Said the Panthers have a roster chock full of talent. The Panthers have a roster chock full of talented prospects who have yet to reach their ceiling in the NFL. This team hasn't been able to harness its upside in previous seasons, but this could be the year it finally comes together in Carolina. With 2023 number 1 overall pick Bryce Young making strides following a brutal start to his NFL career, and now augmented by a pair of elite and up-and-coming pass catchers in Xavier Leggett and rookie Tedero McMillan, this offense could be sneaky good in 2025. The defense saw a slew of changes during the offseason as well, with several veterans such as Tershawn Wharton and Trevon Wallace set to anchor the unit. If the youthful supporting cast can develop quickly, the Panthers could finish above 500 for the first time since 2017. Praise from Bleacher Report. Praise from Bleacher Report. Hey, y'all, we might have to go play the lottery for that one. But that's honestly one of the most accurate depictions of our team that I've seen on Bleacher Report in recent history, because it's a fairly in-depth but also accurate statement. So this is one of the few times I can't say Bleacher Report's wrong. I call it for what it is, call a spade a spade. They're not wrong. But I would like them to have explored more, not just on Leggett and McMillan, but also throw in Jimmy Horn, Jalen Coker coming up, Mitchell Evans potentially, as well as Jatavian Sanders and Tommy Tremble. I wish they would have been included in there. And then for the defensive side, Wharton, Morig, Bobby Brown, Pat Jones, Derek Brown. I wish they would have been included in this article as well, because those are guys, J.C. Horn, those are guys who are set to anchor this defense too. You know what I mean? So definitely more names should have been included in this article to highlight the points that they were trying to make. But overall, hey, I can't deny it. That was a smooth take. And lastly, guys, y'all know what time it is. Time for Panther Nation. Oh, snap. Hold up 1 second. All right, there we go. All right, so now that that's taken care of, time for Panther Nation to speak your truth. Time for y'all to speak your truth, man. I love this section always. I love reading what I read here. And so, first comment comes up from the bro Tyler Ross dash G1I, big G1I, G1L. It might be one of them. I'm sorry, Tyler. But it says, big birthday today from your brother in the big time Navy. First thing I did getting off was putting on today's episode. And Tyler, hey, happy birthday to you, man. Oh, wow. Bro, happy birthday to you. Did you put it in the comment section of any of the videos? If you put it in the comment section and I didn't get it, I apologize, Tyler. I definitely wanted it. But happy birthday to you, man. Hope you had a great birthday. Hope everything was phenomenal. Hope you were able to enjoy it. If you didn't celebrate this past weekend, celebrate this weekend, man. Enjoy it and just appreciate you always watching. Appreciate the support as always. Next comes from Keith Williams Jr. ME5TN. My man says, hey, what's your thoughts on the Cam Newton, Jalen Hurts debate? So, we've talked about this, and I've seen it going on long and ad nauseum. And I got to say this. One, the people who just say Cam Newton was never good and this, that, and the third, I can't even defend that take. So we're gonna sit here and act like Cam was never good. I said this. The last time I spoke on this debate, and some people, even here in these videos, criticized me for even giving this debate the time of day. I think it's a solid debate you can make, but Cam Newton is better in terms of talent and in terms of what he's been able to do. Jalen Hurts is really, really good. Is really, really good to even great. But we haven't seen what Jalen Hurts has to do without said superstars and said players. That's being honest. Jalen Hurts never played with a team where his best receivers were Devin Funchess, Ted Ginn Jr., Greg Olsen. And his best running back was Jonathan Stewart. No shade to those players in Carolina history. But if I'm being honest, Devin Funchess and Ted Ginn Jr. are not A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Greg Olsen's better. I'll give you that. Greg Olsen's definitely a better tight end than whatever Jalen Hurts has had. But Saquon Barkley, as opposed to Jonathan Stewart, let's be real. Let's be real. And then offensive line-wise, the Eagles have had one of the best offensive lines for years. It's not even a secret. So, hey, you could do that. And even from that aspect, quarterback sneak, tush push versus Cam Newton. With Cam Newton, it was just, hey, Cam's getting the ball, quarterback draw, can you stop him? Jalen Hurts, it's just the tush push of just, hey, we're pushing Jalen. Jalen's not utilizing his body. So in terms of that aspect of the game, I can't say Jalen Hurts is better even at the quarterback sneaks because he has a better O-line in that aspect. Defensively, as a whole, that Eagles defense that just won the Super Bowl, as a whole, I think is better than the 2015 Panthers defense. And the reason why I say that is because they had more prominent stars on their defensive side than we did. Not saying we didn't, but I think defensively, head-to-head, I think that Eagles defense is a little bit tougher. So overall, because Jalen has never been in Cam's situation, I will give the edge to Cam. Now, it is very possible for Jalen to be better than Cam when it's all said and done. But one thing that we're going to have to see is Jalen be in a position of where he doesn't have those receivers and that great of a running back to compare and contrast and see if it's really who's better. Or if you want to put Cam in a situation on Madden to where he's there or like put him on the Eagles. You know what? Let's do that. Put Cam Newton on the Eagles. Let's see what happens. Somebody pull up like an old Madden and put Jalen Hurts on an old Madden on the Panthers and let's see what happens. But at the end of the day, I would say Cam Newton is better. Jalen Hurts has the potential to be better, but some things are going to have to happen. But those are out of his control. Nobody would sit there and be like, hey, yo, go get rid of my best player so I can prove a point. If you're really trying to win championships, nobody's going to say that. Nobody's going to say that. But talent for talent, like, I would say Cam Newton's better. Now, Jalen's a better passer, in my opinion. Like, completion percentage and everything, even before they got Saquon and whatnot. Jalen's a better passer in terms of completion percentage. But Cam was no slouch either. So, I think overall, Cam Newton takes it over Jalen Hurts. And then lastly, comes up from Panthers in all black. My homie says, oh my. Just 3 segments back, I said we would know if the scuffles broke out when the pads went on that we had a team, and the boys did not disappoint. I know it's early still, but man, I'm feeling really good about this team this year. Oh, and did you see the play where Renfro broke MJ and just left after his break? Oh my God, guaranteed he's going to be pushing for more than just 4th receiver reps in the games this year. Oh yeah, I saw Renfro breaking ankles. And what's crazy is there was a highlight for each receiver breaking one of the DBs once the pads went on. Leggett had one, McMillan had one, Renfro had multiple, Coker had a few, Horn had a number of them. This receiver core got potential, boy. This receiver core got potential, and I love it. But guys, that's all I have for today's video. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell at the bottom so you know when these videos are dropping. Next, comment below and let me know. 1, how do y'all feel about I'll say, Derrick Brown being kind of cautious and things like that. Mainly, how do you feel about the release of Dan Center? I'll say that. How do you feel about the release of Dan Center and being replaced? Or did you think like, hey, we were just going to cut him and not bring anybody in? 2, do you like the fact that Trevon Wallace is getting mentorship from Shaq Thompson and Luke Kuechly? And do you think that's going to bode well for him and is going to translate onto the field? And 3, what's your reason as to why there it is. What's your reason as to why Carolina shouldn't be overlooked this year? Let me know in the comment section below, because at the end of the day, what do I know? I'm just a skinny brother with 2 tats. Peace, but all you Panther Nation. Take care. Later days, and as always, keep pounding. I'll see you next time.